Fantastic. Now, hello, Twitch people. Hello, YouTube. Friday, NBA Strategy Show, December 13th. We are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. Nice, manageable, 9-game slate. Nothing crazy. We don't have 12 or 13 or one of those ridiculous days. I think that we can handle this one. Laffy, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Glad to be back with you, closing out the work week. Work week never stops for us, though, does it?
No.
The only thing here, like, you're right, it's pretty manageable, but we definitely have a good amount of injury news. Just looking over this now, like, we know that Draymond's out, we know that Conley's out, we know that Beverly's out, Brandon Clark, John Morant, Goran Dragic, Justice Winslow, Marvin Williams.
Yeah.
And then you got a bunch of questionable and doubtful guys that could have a pretty big ripple effect on the entire slate.
Yeah, it's going to get a little squirrely. I have, spoiler alert, I'm writing the deep dive today. I've already gotten started on that a little bit. Got 4 players done. Probably have 40 more to go at this rate.
No, you don't have to do that. Dude, write like 2 or 3 at a position and then do some honorable mentions.
A weird one today.
It that article is like, you almost got to think of it as you're writing it like a cash game lineup. Like you're writing out cash game lineups, because if you do it as a tournament lineup, you'll never stop writing because you never really run out of players, if you know what I mean.
The problem is the salary split today between FanDuel and DraftKings.
Oh, that's the worst.
So stark. Like,
I
have to recommend Lou Williams today. 7,100 on DraftKings. I don't really have much interest. He's $6K on FanDuel. So like I have to address that.
Absolutely.
And there are multiple guys where it's like super 50-50, where they're not in play on one site and they are slam dunks on the other.
Absolutely. Here's a tip to save time, but also do the reader and the subscribers justice. You can just, while you're discussing one guy, include it into the blurb. Like, you know, on DraftKings, I'd much rather play so-and-so at this price point because, instead of doing a full write-up on him.
I'm giving everybody the goods. I'm going to write like 3,000 words. It'll be a tomb.
Oh, no, dude, 3,000 words is like my minimum. I'm just saying, so you're not hitting 8.
No, I'm not going to hit 8, I promise.
Yeah.
Look, I got nowhere to be today, but just soaking in all of the basketball. I'm wearing my favorite Knicks hat. I'm wearing my favorite Knicks shirt. Really soaking in the garbage.
Well, this is why you should sign up at awesemo.com, because Josh doesn't half-ass anything.
No, I'm whole ass for sure. Let's take a look at last night. I've got lineup study pulled up. Let me go ahead and shrink us. Thank God they don't have lineup study for FanDuel right now. I would not want to share the 80% beating I took. Whew.
That's what I took on what's today, Friday?
Yeah.
On Tuesday night. I talked about this with Adam. No matter what I did, I just kept getting Knicks. And then the next day I was like, let me lower minutes down just a little bit. And they all went off. Like, it's just, you know, what are you going to do? Right. That team has been the death of me this year, man.
They've been the death of the city of New York.
Well, that's for a long time.
Yeah. 20 years.
Poor Spike Lee.
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. I hope not.
If that's his biggest problem in life, congrats to Spike Lee.
That guy loves his Knicks.
It's true. I would too. If every other care in the world has been taken care of. Really easy to get mad about sports teams when your life is dope. Anyway, shout out to Shar19. 28 lineups in the $10 Big Jam last night. Came out $100,000 to the good. And other than I slewfoot you, quite the beating for the 150 maxers yesterday. No one to be found, and that's not terribly surprising. That's what happens when slates stink.
Adam said, like, this is the least upset he's ever been that he couldn't play NBA DFS because he's in Puerto Rico, which, by the way, what a ridiculous job of planning a live final at a place where you can't play DFS.
Fantastic. That's why the boss man's just chilling in Miami.
How are they going to do the actual live final?
So you can edit lineups. You just can't enter contests.
So they basically, okay. So
they can be auto-entered, I believe.
You are auto-entered into those. Yeah. So it's not like you have to manually do anything. That'd be hilarious if someone forgot to enter it before they left.
I mean,
honey,
ultimately, like, you can do whatever once you're on site, somebody's got to be there as a proxy. So like, you just, submit it on a piece of paper or something if you need to. Either way, not in 2019. Should that ever be a thing?
No, not at all.
Well, it's downright hilarious. Almost as funny as the guy in Slack yesterday wondering if JJ Barea would get a bump in minutes because the game was in Mexico. JJ Barea, a native of Puerto Rico.
Did someone really ask that?
I think it was serious. It came off serious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. JJ Barea getting a crisp 0 minutes yesterday. Glad that Ben and I spent any time on that. Ben liked Seth Curry.
Curry went off.
I was like, I'm not that interested.
Huge game. Yeah. What do you have, 51 fantasy points?
50.25 on DK, 14.8x value. Highest valued play of the day. So
it's decent.
Yeah. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. Only other guy to go over 10x yesterday, Enes Kanter. 10.6. Alex had 0 shares of both guys, which is fascinating to think about on a 4-game slate. Now, don't get me wrong. I also had 0 shares of these guys, but no shares of the 2 guys that hit 10x. Not a great day for Alex. Not a great day for me. That should be no surprise then. Using a lot of Alex's info.
I was kind of pissed because I'd mentioned on the deeper dive that like I felt almost certain that Grant Williams would get no minutes at the 5 like he did the game before where he played like 8 minutes or so. And that the center minutes would be split 100% between Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter. And they were. And I ended up having a decent amount of Daniel Tice.
Yep.
And he wasn't terrible. I think.
He went for 26 and a quarter, like 6.6x at 4K. You're not mad about that at all.
No, that's not bad. What sucked though is I was spot on. They split the center minutes, except Kanter ended up having a huge game scoring wise, and Brad Stevens kept him out there. So that could have just as easily flipped like 27-21 Tice Kanter, but they both played 24. And he wasn't bad, but just when you what I'm saying is knowing that Williams didn't even see the court, there was an opportunity for Daniel Tice to have a huge game there. Or if you thought Kanter would get those minutes, which why would you really, especially with his lack of defensive acumen. Yeah. But I mentioned on the early bird last night, like the minutes are so much more important when it comes to value than anything else. Like not how many will they get, but can you get the minutes right?
Oh, absolutely. And like the Kanter thing, it's not like it's shocking. You know that he can be good offensively.
Oh, dude. Yes, exactly. When he's having one of those games, you know there's a good chance he's going to stay out there. And it's not like Tice or Kanter was slowing Embiid down even a little bit.
Right.
So it didn't matter.
Right. Like Seth Curry is an out of nowhere one. You're not surprised when Enes Kanter goes for 40.
Exactly.
That one makes that's what he's good at doing.
Right. And he played 24 minutes because he was playing well. And you know what? That's just the way it works.
100%.
But Tice wasn't bad. He just could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I had like 35-40% Tice on FanDuel. So
I thought he was a good play. So we have power forward on FanDuel.
Take a look at the top lineup from yesterday before we move on. I know what that guy's saying, so I'm just going to ignore it. Monty Morris, 2.7% owned. Jordan Clarkson, Luka, who went bonkers. Kevin Love, 56.75. Didn't see that one coming. I didn't have a single share of Kevin Love on FanDuel yesterday, and he jammed himself at the top of that value list from super early, and I was like, cool.
Yep. They've been just like the Knicks, though. I mean, seriously, they've been just – what were you – in all seriousness, first of all, it went to overtime, but he played 33 minutes in regulation, almost 34. He's been averaging 29 minutes per game over the last month. It's so hard to give him those minutes. Am I surprised that he had a good game? No, because
He's
the
still good.
Spurs are not a good basketball team.
And he's
But
still good.
and he's still a good player, yeah. But the Cavs are so bad. Like Chetty Osman played. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
Chetty Osman played 19 minutes when he was like chalk value the other day,
Yeah, I'm
which
well
was
aware.
good because, yeah, chalk Chetty Osman's never a good thing. And Porter ended up playing a career high in minutes and a career high in fantasy points. He gets 15 minutes. Osman gets 38. Like the flow of the game matters so much with these bad basketball teams.
Chetty played 38 minutes yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. it like it's crazy. What I mean, the flow of the game is when it comes to bad basketball teams, they're just like, fuck it, I'll roll with the hot hand because what else am I gonna do? You know what I mean? And it's not even that he played that well, but the starting lineup was great. I had Jordan Clarkson too, and that was cool. DeJounte Murray is another example. Dude played 17 minutes after Popovich said he wanted to get him more minutes, and he played 32 in regular or in overtime the other day. Like, what are you gonna do, man?
I had no idea that he played 38 minutes. I feel like I just took a hot poker to the bum.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, he had like 21 fantasy points in 38 minutes.
Yeah, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Clarkson was great off the bench.
Yeah.
I think they're showcasing this guy.
Clarkson?
I think he actually make for a decent trade piece for off the bench for a decent team.
Like a homeless man's Lou Will?
I don't think Clarkson's that bad of a player, like as a scorer.
Who needs that though?
I think there's some teams that could use a scorer. No,
I don't know. Let's take a look at it because I love when you and I
we're gonna get into trouble, but I love it. Let's do it.
I know we haven't done.
Let's take a look at this.
All right, he's not going to go to the
can I just
Bucks.
say-
He's not going to go to the Sixers. He's not going to go to the Raptors or the Celtics.
Sixers got Matisse Thybulle, baby.
Noted.
His
noted
three-point shooting has
scorer.
been wild.
Yeah, he's shooting like 41%. That shit ain't holding.
So, do you not think the Raptors could use him as a bench piece?
I think that the Raptors are more likely to make trades getting rid of talent than they are to bring it on.
Okay. What about Brooklyn?
How many guards can they have?
It's a fair point. But how many of those guards could you just move to the 3?
0?
You think?
I don't know. Who are we counting as their guards? I mean, at some point in time, it's going to be Kyrie, Dinwiddie, and Karis LeVert. I mean, LeVert, I guess, but they're already going to pinch Dinwiddie shortly.
All right, so not a ton there. Pacers,
like
Oladipo comes
the
back.
Rockets would be great.
That's actually not a crazy idea. Austin, he's actually a rich man's Austin Rivers.
It would be nice for them to not have to give those minutes to rookie Chris Clemens or something, you know?
This is true, yeah.
But I think they probably have their eye on a bigger prize.
Denver wouldn't need him.
No. Dallas has enough people like that. I mean, this is going to just sound like the most ridiculous statement in the world, but like, is he all that different than Emmanuel Mudiay, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mudiay can't shoot.
Right, but like, you don't trade for Jordan Clarkson to make like the very incremental upgrade to Emmanuel Mudiay as the best.
No, of course not. But I think, if you were to get Jordan Clarkson in a trade, you'd be giving up like cash consideration and I don't know, a gift certificate to Arby's.
Honestly, like the Lakers would make some sense just because they don't have like really any other creator.
That's true. That is true. But like their guard rotation right now is ridiculous. It's just so crowded with 3-and-D guys. Caruso might just be that guy for him though.
He's nuts. Yeah, the only reason I'm saying Lakers is just like he's the exact opposite of what they have up and down their roster.
For sure. Yeah, so I guess when you look at it, there's not a ton, but I think though that somebody would be willing to take on a Clarkson for cheap as someone that could play 20 minutes off the bench and get up some shots because he's really not a terrible scorer.
No, not at all. How's he been this year?
26.5% usage rate too. I'm sure teams love that.
Yeah, that'll take you to the promised land. All right, Cavs. We got plenty of time to get into this. He's been their third best guy in terms of wins above replacement. That'll help. Although Raptor also says that Chetty is their number one guy in wins above replacement. So maybe we should throw that one in the trash and go start somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Let's check player impact plus minus. And then we can move along to talking about this lovely 9-gamer. All right, Clarkson is really, really bad. Although, wow. Okay, so if I sort down to just Cleveland, for some reason I can't filter just to team, so I have to type in CLE.
Right, and just find the highlighted ones.
Well, yeah, so I get every Cleveland guy, and then I get Ben McLemore and Chris Clemens. They both have CLE in their name. 2 guys from Houston, which is just weird.
Very strange.
So this isn't sorting well. But
and Clint Capella.
No.
Go ahead.
Not a single guy on the Cleveland Cavaliers has a positive player impact plus minus. All of them are negative.
Are you that surprised?
I figured one dude would be like, oh, it hasn't been awful. I wouldn't expect Kevin Love to just be the dirt worst as well.
Yeah, they're bad.
Darius Garland, minus 4.74. He might be the worst player in the league.
You think?
Third worst behind Dennis Smith Jr. in obviously limited minutes and Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges, really?
Yeah. Anthony Simons, Cam Reddish, Kevin Porter, Dwayne Bacon, Jordan Poole, Frank Jackson. It's not like I'm naming guys that you're surprised to hear.
No, but that's a lot of young guys.
Here's one that it would make me surprised to hear it. Jeremy Grant.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael Malone has seemed to really like him, too. That is a little strange.
Defense hasn't been where you would expect it to be. Having a bit of a down year defensively. I don't know why. Interesting. Maybe it's the thin air of Denver. Who knows?
That must be it.
Number 1 in player impact plus minus. No surprises here. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
No doubt about it.
Dude's dirty. Giannis, Harden, Luka Doncic. Luka, the best offensive player in the league per this metric. Don't think anybody's going to be too shocked.
Where's Embiid?
Overall?
Yeah.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 12th.
Okay. That makes sense.
Kind of not great offense, but still a fantastic defensive force.
That team falls apart when he's off the court defensively.
Third highest defensive player impact plus minus.
Who's 1 and 2?
1 is Giannis. 2, you're going to have a problem with. So we might have to talk about the context of this metric.
Who's number 2?
Brook Lopez.
No. First of all, I've long said that Brook Lopez is actually a good defender. People for some odd and inexplicable reason associate defense with rebounding
or
a lot
just
of the time.
Blocked shots.
Or just block shots. And that's not the way it works.
Right.
So I've never had an issue with Brook Lopez defense, to be honest with you, even when he was in Brooklyn.
I think, agreed. I think he is a really good defensive center. I think what we're seeing here is like the perfect embodiment of a team defender, not a guy that is transforming a defense independently. Sort of like the defensive version of, I don't even know who to mention here. Like Rudy Gobert dictates the defense. Lopez just fits in like the perfect puzzle piece.
Yep. That whole team fits. That's why they're so damn good.
Yeah, they are also like engineered to be exactly what they are.
Yep.
And, use their strengths accordingly. I love it. Yeah, number 1 offensive player. No surprise, Luka. Harden, Towns, Giannis, LeBron. I don't think anybody's going to be having any qualms with any of those names. Any guesses as to the worst offensive player?
The worst offensive player in the league?
You won't get it.
What conference?
Western Conference. If you get I could give you 20 minutes.
Is it a good team or bad team? Give me that.
They are an average to below average team.
Okay, let's go with. And is it like a player that's just bad?
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, dude, average team, and you're sure of that? All right, give me 1 second. Let me just take one guess here. Average team, rookie.
Let me make sure they're average. I'm almost positive they are. Yeah.
Is he on the Is he on the Thunder?
He is on the Thunder. You just watching the stream now, Dick?
Is it Baisley?
It is.
Oh my god, dude! I swear I didn't look at anything. That is pretty impressive.
Cheater.
No, I swear to God, I didn't cheat.
Cheater.
Wait, was it on the stream? Did someone see it on the stream?
Oh no.
Or is your...
Well, I mean, it's on my screen. Yeah. Do you know who the worst defensive player in the league is? Not a rookie.
Hold on, I did not have the screen up. The process of elimination there. I did not have the screen up.
That's fair.
And actually, I didn't even know if Baisley was a rookie. I wasn't sure if he'd been like a career G leaguer, and I just didn't know about
19. Worst defensive player in the league.
Worst defensive player in the league? Okay, yeah. Team. All right, sorry. Conference?
Eastern.
Good team, bad team in the middle?
Bad team, great. What's the word I'm looking for? You won't be surprised to hear this, but he is very highly regarded in the league.
Really?
He's young.
Very and it's young. A bad team. And it's a bad. Oh, Trae Young.
Nailed it. Worst defensive player in basketball.
I'm good at this, Josh.
Number 2 right now, Bradley Beal.
Is that right?
Yeah. Which doesn't shock me all that much. I can't imagine he's putting in a lot of work.
On the defensive end now.
Right. He'll die. But yeah, Trae Young, dead last.
Wow.
Gives away every bit of his offensive talent.
Pretty incredible, man. I mean, the Trae Young thing is why. Tell me this: where does Luka rank defensively here?
I believe he's just like slightly below average. I closed the tab, but I can reopen right to it. Luka has a negative 0.41 defensive.
And Trae Young has a negative
4.
Okay, so that's still a massive difference.
Yeah. Luka is quite a bit higher than him offensively, and they are on different planets defensively. Now, I don't think that Luka is anything good. He just happens to not be little.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Alrighty. We've got an hour to get through 9 games. So first and foremost, I need to shout out our presenting sponsor, Yahoo Sports. I'm dropping Emacs Cash Game Building Blocks article into YouTube chat. Read the article, first and foremost, and then scroll to the bottom, click the link, use the promo code AWESOMO when signing up. You can get up to $30 in them YSRPs.
Get it.
Yahoo Sports rewards points, baby. You're going to get, a lot of 10 max entry contests. You can CSV edit now, softer competition, lower management fees. It's just a really great place for everybody to play. I highly recommend it. Just use the link in the article and get up to $30 in YSRPs. You could also head to awesemo.com/join, use the promo code NBA Strategy, and get 50% off your first month with us. Today is the last day of this promotion. 50% off your first month with us. Today is the last day that code will do that.
Long running promotion.
Has been. So, might want to check it out today. Highly recommended. You could use it on any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. We're offering things for every sport, so I would highly recommend you guys go check it out. Also, while you're here, don't be afraid to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Know when we go live. It's about that time.
Let's do it, baby. It's a good morning discussion.
Sometimes you just need to talk a little bit.
By the way, I'd love to get the viewers' opinions on if they would like or not like moving the strategy show up an hour or until 8 a.m.
Very true. Let us know in the comments section if we were to move this up a little bit.
Eastern time.
Yep. Help out, get it to a couple more people for their commute. So let us know. I know we got a lot of people that have turned this into probably like an hour of meeting on their calendar every Monday to Friday, but let us know, everybody.
Experimenting here.
Let us know. Let us know in the comments section, not the chat. Chat will go away after the 20 messages scroll away, and I will certainly not go back to figure it out.
Yep. But we do want to hear from you on that because, we're doing this for you guys too.
Yeah, this Dominique Brown guy is salty in chat.
About what?
That, I don't know, Eddie and I got something wrong, I guess.
There was a guy yesterday.
Somebody needs to call 911, get that guy the wambulance.
There was a guy yesterday saying, in between the deeper dive and live before lock, like, LOL, if you think these guys are actually giving out plays that they like, just pointing this out, would literally be the worst business model in the history of business models.
Yep.
To give out bad plays every day intentionally, because
it's so much extra work.
What?
It's so much extra work too.
Absolutely. But as you guys said, it's still a business, and like our objective is to give out great free content, but also phenomenal premium content. And we hope that many of you, become premium subscribers. It would be the dumbest thing ever.
Nick Nelson summed up this potential earlier show perfectly. Adam will never be able to make it up that early. Imagine how hungover and angry he's going to be each morning.
Josh actually expressed that concern to me yesterday.
Orlando Magic, Houston Rockets. Actually, I don't know if this is the right implied total. 4 games didn't have lines. So I'm starting to think that somehow the calendar flipped to like February or March. We do have lines on everything now. So let me go ahead and plug in all the correct shit.
We had some back-to-backs too. We did the early bird, and we had like only 4 games that did have lines.
All right. This is going to take me 6 seconds to do. So this one's
Sixers right. -7.5, 223 total.
Oh, dude, I got it all in front.
All right.
Ain't my first rodeo.
All right.
But yeah, half of the games didn't have it. I had to like make up totals and stuff to get about my business today.
Yeah.
Fun. Hate when I have
kind
to
of
do
fun
that
though.
Stuff.
It's kind of fun when you refresh it and you were spot on with the spread and the total.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
No? Oh,
okay. I mean, sometimes I do.
I'm usually pretty on point with that. That's why I was shocked the other day that Giannis only moved the line a couple points. Which, by the way, you would think that was just like a rest or maintenance day, but I'm beginning to wonder if it was because they sat him out at home.
He couldn't make it through shoot around or through shoot around.
Say it again.
There was a quote that said like he couldn't make it all the way through shoot around.
Yeah, I know. And now they've got a back-to-back, but they've got Memphis and then they've got Cleveland at home. So I don't know. Like, does he really need to play? And if he's actually dealing with an injury, you might see him held out again. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise to me. And I don't know if this was really just rest. I think it's probably a cautious approach, but I don't know if it's rest.
We shall find out.
All right. Are you done?
Yeah, we got it. 107
should have done
107.75 implied. I should have done. I couldn't.
Jesus.
I literally couldn't do it. 107.75 implied total for the Magic. 114.25 for the Rockets. We will start on the Orlando side. And the piece that stands out most to me is $4,300 Terrence Ross on DraftKings. Still no Markelle Fultz. Nikola Vucevic is doubtful, so he's going to be back soon. But for right now, Terrence Ross at $4,300 on DraftKings is the clear best thing in this entire game. The rest of it is sort of just filler for me. Gordon, Isaac, Fournier, all perfectly acceptable guys to rotate through. But nobody really.
I'm gonna go eat some breakfast real quick. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Fair enough. I ate breakfast. I had some Gouda and bacon egg bites from Starbucks.
Oh, I'm an Eggs Benedict guy. My God,
love an Eggs Benny.
Just phenomenal, isn't it?
Got it Saturday when I was out of town.
What do you call the meat that's on that?
I mean, like a traditional one?
Yeah.
Ham?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people call it Canadian bacon.
No,
I'm
American.
Northeast
it's just ham.
Anyway, I'm with you on Terrence Ross. One of the reasons too is right now with a lot of like pending injury news, we really don't have that much good value, like reliable value. And like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised after Moutier played some minutes last game that people get back on that train, which just seems absurd. But it wouldn't surprise me, even though he got 4 additional minutes because Mitchell was in foul trouble. But sticking to the game at hand, I like Ross here. He's probably going to play another 27 to 30 minutes. He's a 24, 25% usage guy in each of the past few seasons. Now, he's 100%, he's entirely dependent on scoring. If he has a bad game shooting, kiss it goodbye, Smalls. But if he gets up to a hot shooting day, he's going to stay on the court. And, you get 30, like upwards of 35 fantasy points from him isn't the craziest thing. He's actually produced 30 plus, and I think 3 of his last 6. So not a great ceiling and a pretty big range of outcomes for a guy like Terrence Ross. But right now, with the limited value we have, I think he's perfectly fine.
Okay. Do you have any interest in any of these Orlando guys, like more so than just guys that exist on this slate?
Honestly, no. And this was one of the games that didn't have a total. Let me see how close I was. Where are we here? What is this site doing? It's all jarbled and mixed up.
Where are we?
What in the world? Oh, whatever.
Great job doing your job, man. You should have done that forever ago.
Fair enough. 222. Okay, that makes sense. Houston's played better defense lately. The one thing about Orlando though is this is a significant pace up spot for them. Going up against a Houston team that plays at a highly elevated pace this season, and an Orlando team that last I looked is near the bottom. There's reason to have some interest, and they're not a terrible basketball team. They're not great, but they're not terrible either. So I could see this game being competitive. 6.5 point spread. Magic play 98 possessions per 48. Houston's at 105.
Yeah.
So big time pace up spot.
I have Orlando getting an additional 4 possessions.
Okay. Even so, that's quite a bit.
Oh, that's a monstrous number.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Kem Birch, the minutes, it seems like he may be falling out of favor in Orlando just a little bit. Mo Bamba sneaking in with a few more minutes. Neither of them are really all that appealing. Vooch is not likely to play in this one. Aminu remains out. Jonathan Isaac would be a guy that, because of the big minutes in close games, I have some interest in, and his price tag keeps coming down. But I do think this would be the guy outside of Ross. Aaron Gordon hasn't had a great season this year. He's actually averaging less than a fantasy point per minute, but he does perform well generally in pace up spots where he can run and where he can kind of fly around and get to the basket. I think this is a pretty appealing spot for Aaron Gordon if you were going to look towards Orlando outside of Ross.
Do you have any interest in anything from Houston? I don't see Harden as particularly viable on DK at 12.6. I'd rather get to a little bit more of Westbrook, but it's just not really that great of a spot for Houston in general. I don't get the sense that I'll have much of anything here unless value starts to open up, at which point I can get to a little bit more Harden on FanDuel, where I think it's a little easier to roster him. But I'm kind of just not all that enamored with anything from Houston.
I'm with you. And honestly, even if we were to talk about Westbrook at like 97 on DraftKings, $2,900 less expensive than Harden, Trae Young has seen his price go from 10.4 to 10.5 to 10.4 to 10.3 to 9.1 overnight.
Yeah, I would much rather have Trae Young, Butler.
Yeah, there's a lot. We'll even talk about Devontae Graham in a bit. He's been remarkable. So as much as I love Harden, and if here would be the one thing. I know we can't spend a ton of time here, but if a lot of value opens up, right, and Harden's still going to be like, what is he at? I don't know if we have ownership yet, but assume he's going to be like 5 or 6%, which wouldn't surprise me.
We just got ownership actually.
Then it might make sense because we saw him the other day, 41 minutes. I think he was like 7 or 8%. Go for 81 fantasy points.
By the way, Terrence Ross is 33% owned. He's the chalk play of the day on DK.
Wow. That once we get some news, I assume that'll come down. We have Harden right now at 0.9% on DraftKings.
At 11 on FanDuel, I think that makes some sense. Gordon, Isaac, both in the 20s on FanDuel. Isaac in the 20s on DK. DJ Augustine getting a little bit of love at 4,400 on DraftKings. I would just rather have Terrence Ross given the two choices.
I'm with you on this one.
Okay.
Westbrook is
1
right now at 1%. What do you think of this? Westbrook, if this ownership holds, because right now Trae Young's getting ridiculous ownership, and that, should be the case. Westbrook over Trae Young, to me, if the ownership gap is that big, might be one of the best plays on the entire slate.
Yeah, if it really was 27-1,
right now it is.
I'll happily flip.
We can only go off the numbers we have, right?
Yeah, I would be. So, I would assume Trae Young would show up in an optimal, and that would be the spot where I would pivot Westbrook to Trae Young, get a little bit different. I like it.
Westbrook's, 32%.
Pivot Trae Young to Westbrook, rather. Sorry.
Right. I know what you meant. 32% usage rate, 36% assist rate, 12% rebound rate. Even if this is a down season for Westbrook, he's still putting up some monster games.
Yeah. You got to put out, you can't pay attention to things that he did in the past. It's no longer relevant that he put up, he doesn't score the same way. You need to evaluate him relative to his current salary. You also didn't get old Westbrook at 9,700 on DraftKings.
Exactly.
Salary is most important. All right, here we go. We got to at least save a couple minutes on this one. We'll be able to move.
I think Capella's fine too.
Okay. Sixers, Pelicans. Pelicans are 7-point underdogs in Philly. Honestly, I would have expected that line to be bigger. Philly, obviously, fantastic defensively. They're going to see a boost in potential possessions in this one. Ben Simmons, mid-20s in ownership right now. Tobias Harris, also in the 20s. Embiid, not all that owned. 11% on FanDuel, 10% on DK. I like Embiid and Simmons more than I like anything else on Philly. Anything else in this game, mind you. I think that they're both really close. This spot is perfect for Ben Simmons. He is one of the few guys that I've written up so far in the deep dive. Pelicans are 26th in defensive rating. They're 27th in shots allowed at the rim. Ben Simmons has shot more. He has a higher percentage of his shots at the rim than anybody else in the league this season.
That's incredible.
Really nice spot for Simmons. I'm in for Simmons. I'm in for Embiid. I don't really love Tobias Harris in this one if he's getting 20-something% ownership.
At that ownership, me neither, but I love this game, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Ooh, really?
I really do. Yeah, I do. Ben Simmons, by the way, operates 31% of his possessions are in attempted shots are in transition. That's behind guys that are actually getting minutes. That would be behind only Josh Hart, Kyle Lowry. That's it. And he averages 1.05 points per possession. The Pelicans are allowing 1.17 points per possession in transition. Half-court defense, they're not terrible. They are absolutely getting hammered in transition this season. That's why they've struggled so much. 57% shooting on it, 64% EFG. So I'm with you on Simmons. Joel Embiid's a tough one because this is the second of a back-to-back. And his last back-to-back, he played 33 minutes and then 35 the night before, 26 and 28 before that, but those were both blowout wins. He played 36 minutes last night. That would be my only concern, but this matchup is just spectacular for Joel Embiid. I absolutely love it. And I'm willing to roll the dice on him, even though it's a back-to-back. It just feels like a really great spot. They've also allowed the third most points in in post-up situations this year. We know that Embiid crushes in those spots. I have no problem with Harris. We have to pay attention to what we get with Al Horford.
Yep.
That could be pretty big news here. Mike Scott last game played 29 minutes. You're going to rely on shooting from him and nothing else, but he's the dead minimum in a really great pace-up matchup against a bad defensive team. And then on the other side, I like Drew Holiday. I like Ingram. I like both of those guys quite a bit. I think their price tags are just super reasonable. It's a good Philly defense, but they're just those guys are too cheap to me in this particular spot, knowing that Alvin Gentry is going to run them for another 37 minutes.
I have favors in today. Who the hell knows at this point for 22 minutes. If he ends up being out, you probably need to take a little bit of a look at $3,300 Jahlil Okafor. Revenge narrative, whatever. I don't really have much interest in the Pelicans. I don't get the sense that I'll have really any exposure to these guys. Little bit of JJ Redick on FanDuel. He's $4K, $900 cheaper than he is on DraftKings. So he's not really affected by anything that's going on. He's probably just going to get, 26 minutes at a minimum. Not really much ownership coming into these guys. Holiday at 9 and 5 on FanDuel and DraftKings. Ingram at 8 and 13. It's just not a spot that I want to go. I think Philly's too tough for them.
A lot of revenge games here. Redick, Holiday, Okafor.
Yeah.
It's not a good matchup, but I think those prices are good enough. $7,400 Holiday to me is pretty friendly.
Would you want JJ Redick back if you could trade for him?
No, not at all.
Interesting. Really?
No, because
if it was for like Mike Scott and Shake Milton or something.
Well, I mean, sure, but he's a terrible defender. So on those days where he's not hitting shots, he's just a massive liability. Like, honestly, Matisse Thybulle, I would much rather have him. I think Matisse Thybulle contributes more to wins than Redick does.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
I don't think it is. Redick's a good player, but I'm not saying right now. I'm saying when you look at future results, like if you're projecting this out to the future, I think Thybulle is going to be, in terms of all around like role player, a better option. We don't need Redick right now.
I don't know how true that is. I think he is exactly what you need.
No. What? Just you mean another outside shooter?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
who obviously works well with Embiid.
He is such a bad defender, dude. He's really bad.
I think you can handle that when you have Ben Simmons and Josh Richardson and Embiid and Thybulle and every other dude on this team that's fantastic defensively.
I guess. I mean,
fine. We'll keep it moving.
I don't miss him.
Let's head to Atlanta. Hawks and Pacers. Pacers are 6-point favorites in Atlanta. Wow. Why is Kevin Herter getting 17% ownership on DraftKings? Anyway, not important. Atlanta's defense, really bad. Indiana's defense, pretty good. A little bit of a pace-up spot for the Pacers. I like one guy and one guy only coming out of Atlanta. That is Trae Young. 9,600 on FanDuel. 9,100 on DraftKings. 17K on Fantasy Draft and 45 on Yahoo. He is 26 and 27% owned across FanDuel and DK. I think that makes perfect sense. If you're playing a cash game, it wouldn't surprise me if Trae Young is going to be close to being in that lineup. I think the ownership is right where it should be.
All right. Kevin Herter is if he's not limited to 25 minutes, right? And I can put him at 30. We need some confirmation there first, because otherwise it doesn't mean anything. But if Kevin Herter's coming in at like 30 minutes, I will likely be all over that.
I agree with you there at 30 minutes.
He's getting all the backup point guard minutes. DeAndre Bembry is out of the rotation. He played 8 minutes last game, all of it blowout run in the fourth quarter. Like Lloyd Pierce said, like, this is what he likes right now. And he, this is what he wants to do. So if Herter's getting those backup minutes, and you've seen it, like he's subbing in for Trae Young at the end of the first and at the end of the third. And when Trae Young was off the floor in the second,
I gave Kevin Herter all 13 backup point guard minutes.
So did I. So if he's not limited and he's getting, 17 at the 2 and 13 at the 1, that makes him a pretty valuable play.
Agreed. Yeah, he just looks really good. The ownership is a little off-putting in a tournament.
For sure.
You want to make sure that you're pivoting around that, because I think that you're not getting a lot of utility on it, but it's certainly deserved.
Yep.
I don't really have an interest in anything else from Atlanta.
No, I don't either. Looking at this team in general, there's not enough there, and even the ones I kind of like, the minutes are a little bit more hard to rely on. Like Cam Reddish last game, 6 of his minutes came in blowout run. That's not comforting. So I'm with you here.
Pacers,
Kevin Huerter, if he gets the minutes, and Trae Young's an obvious one.
I just tried to say Pacers. You started talking, and then my phone thought I called the Apple smart person. I don't want to say it out loud because then it's just going to do it again, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Nice. Pacers side. I think Sabonis looks pretty tasty as per usual. 9K on FanDuel, 8,100 on DraftKings. He should eat this Atlanta back or front court alive. Don't mind getting the Brogdon. Miles Turner still just 5,100 on DraftKings. There's going to be a day in the near future where he blows that out of the water because he blocks like 8 shots. Happy to get a little bit of TJ Warren. Jeremy Lamb's minutes down a little bit lately. He's the one guy that I don't need much of, but give me some bit of the other 4 guys. You don't get many matchups better than this.
There will come a time where Miles Turner blows it out of the water, but for now he just blows. So
today could be a good day with Damian Jones and Bruno Fernando and Alex Len.
It's very possible. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree that there are going to be some games where he's really solid, but man, it's been a miserable season for him from a fantasy perspective, and talk about this a lot. He's a bad rebounder. He needs those block shots. He needs to score a little bit because he's not going to give you like big time double doubles. It's just not happening, and it kind of sucks. But
0.89 FanDuel points per minute over the last 30 days. It's basically where he's been for the season. In my model, he's a 1.07 guy. Like that is about as big of a gap as you're going to find between performance and like expected talent.
Is he 1.07 though with Warren and with Lamb and with Brogdon and with Sabonis?
Probably not.
Yeah.
So that is just like his like rolling rate over a stretch of time, like context independent, not like adjusted for anything for right now. Just this is what he has sort of been. Josh needs to stop naming everyone in the NBA. I recommended one guy from Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
And the Hawks
pay no heed, friend.
Come on, legalized. You're better than that.
Atlanta allows the 5th most points in the paint this season. Sabonis is doing a lot of damage in the paint. If you've watched him, like most of his scoring is coming in the paint as it should, and he's been rebounding like a stud. Like I think he's averaging 23 rebound chances per game, which is nuts. Maybe even more than that. I haven't looked in a week or so, but huge minutes from Sabonis. Double pretty much a lock for one every day. I don't know the last time he didn't double in all seriousness. I really like him. And I think Malcolm Brogdon here, $7,500 on DraftKings is a really nice price. So a couple spots from the Pacers that I'm definitely okay with, specifically Brogdon and Sabonis. Miles Turner, like you said, the price keeps coming down. There are going to be games where he plays 31, 32 minutes. But until he does, he's going to continue to not be good.
Is that right? We don't have time to get into this, but it's not like he's bad. He's just not what he was. Like 0.9 fantasy points per minute is still good. He's not like, Alex, who's a good, like Damian. No, that's a bad example too. Like 0.9 is not awful. It's just not 1.1 like it used to be.
He's like Taj Gibson. He's like, Noah Vonleh, Myers Leonard.
Sure. Yes, I guess
Gary Clark.
I guess that's true. Gary Clark. Stop reading off my spreadsheet.
Luke Cornett.
Okay. Chicago Bulls, Charlotte
the
Hornets.
Cream of the NBA's crop.
Yes. Chicago.
Ivan Robb.
I'm going to kill you. Bulls and Hornets. 6.5 point favorites for the Bulls at home. Bulls listing a lot of people on that injury report as probable today after getting a little hand slap. I think it was Eddie that pointed that out, that Boylan slipped up in the media, and now they have to list all these sorts of dudes on the injury report.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, at least they're all probable and not questionable, right?
Right. I would have expected to get a lot of Chicago in this scenario, given how bad the Hornets are defensively. I have no. This one's for you, Legalized. I don't have interest in anybody on the Bulls.
No.
Wendell Carter and Markkanen are the only two guys in double digits in exposure. That is just FanDuel, 14 and 10%. I won't match that. I don't want anybody here.
It's interesting. Okay. I don't hate the idea of Kobe White, but that's pretty much going to be it. He was getting a lot of the backup point guard minutes, but he's also playing some decent minutes alongside Thomas Satoransky. So, he came out last game with 5 minutes remaining. Monster blowout here. Is he going to close games out in competitive spots would be the question. Wendell Carter, Markkanen, Levine, Satoransky. I could see him, if Levine moves to the 3, closing these games out over Chris Dunn. If that's the case, then he's actually not a bad play at all at $4,600 on DraftKings.
He is the highest ranked guy that I have on DK right now.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Just like being all of the comparisons that I'm going to make are incredibly inappropriate from a correct standpoint. So I'm just going to shut up.
I wish you wouldn't.
The baller 2234. Laffy, give Engelman crap for his Jokic is greater than Embiid take.
Oh, I mean,
we'll be here all day.
At this point, I don't need to. I see it in his eyes. He knows.
Look,
he knows it was egregious.
Let's not forget who was the first team All NBA center last year. It was not Joel Embiid.
Let's not forget who's out of breath running to half court this year.
But that would be still Joel Embiid.
Oh, dude, you have not watched much Jokic then.
I'm not saying that it's not also Jokic, but we can't act like Joel Embiid is in peak physical condition either.
No, the guy eats Chick-fil-A for breakfast, but speaking of, that's a great idea.
Are we trying to act like eating Chick-fil-A for breakfast is something negative? Come on now.
No, as an NBA player, it's probably not optimal. I'll eat Chick-fil-A for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't care.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you get winded when you try to run with Joel Embiid to half court in NBA 2K while you're eating that Chick-fil-A? Anyway, we don't have time for this. Let's go to the Charlotte side where you and I are both going to be on someone that is getting zilch in the ownership department. Devontae Graham, 7,900 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DK. I'm still cool with 8,300 on DraftKings here, but 7,900 on FanDuel is a bargain. We have him at 1% ownership.
That doesn't make sense to me, man. This guy is really good.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's crazy at 8,300 on DraftKings. I don't.
No.
Like, it's probably, he's not going to show up in your optimal lineups, but like, he's a 26% usage guy with 37% assist rate. And he's playing upwards of 38, 39 minutes in close games. What's the spread on this game? It's got like 6, 5, 3, 6.5. 6.5. That seems a little high, but I don't really care. I mean, Devontae Graham's just been awesome. And when you're getting that many minutes with that much ball handling responsibility and usage, it's tough not to really like him. He was in foul trouble for a minute or two against Washington, would have played like 38. He had the most miserable first half. I was so pissed off. And then he erupted for like 40 fantasy points in the second half. He's spectacular.
PJ Washington, my second favorite guy on FanDuel right now at 5,900 from the Hornets. Obviously, he is getting some ownership.
Yeah. He's a good player. Though.
I'm in for Graham. I'm in for PJ Washington. Worst player in basketball, Miles Bridges, probably going to show up in a couple of lineups again for me.
Yeah, look, I mentioned this to Dan Stratford on the early bird. These guys are not players that you would expect to go out and shatter the slate.
No.
But with Batum out, with Marvin Williams out, that's enough to assume that Borrego, and he was even doing this beforehand, but that's enough to assume that these guys play another 36, 38 minutes again.
Yeah.
And they're discounted. Miles Bridges, 38, 38, 36 over his last 3 games. Washington, 33, 40, 37. They haven't been great on a per minute basis, but if you're giving me that much run with that salary, you have to get there in some spots.
I agree. Really like that Graham price. I'm going to pay close attention to that ownership. If it stays in those low single digits, he'll be one of the guys that I am most over the field on.
No question. Any interest, by the way, Terry Rozier on DraftKings is $6,700. That's kind of appealing to me.
It is not appealing to me.
No?
I'm surprised that it's not, but it is not.
Huge minutes for him, too.
Yeah, I got him in for 35.
He's down $700 from 2 games ago. He's down $1,000 from 3 games ago. I think that's a perfectly reasonable salary on Rozier.
Yeah, I think he's priced correctly, which on DraftKings isn't like a benefit any longer.
Right.
Yeah. Lots to talk about on this one, and then we'll get some plugs in. Memphis Grizzlies, Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks are 9.5-point favorites in Memphis. Ja Morant out, rest. Brandon Clark out for rest. We've just seen Ja Morant and Brandon Clark be out for a stretch, so we have some comparison points here. It's a monstrous pace-up spot for Memphis. They're going to gain 5 possessions. Clearly a tough defensive matchup. I'm assuming Giannis is in for right now. Doesn't really matter for the quality of this game. Milwaukee should still be expected to beat the doors off of Memphis. We've got a lot to talk about on this spot. So let's start with the backcourt. I assume Tyus Jones gets the start. He's 4,300 on FanDuel, 3,700 on DraftKings. He basically just manages the game in these scenarios. I think he has like roughly a 15% usage rate when Ja Morant is off the floor. But he's 4,300 and 3,700. I think he's a really nice value on DK. Perfectly acceptable value on FanDuel. I don't have much issue paying down for him. But I think that DeAnthony Melton at 4,100 and 3,900 is the clear spot to grab him. He's one of, if not my favorite, FanDuel options from a cheap perspective. Same story for DK. Only in the mid-20s in ownership. I would expect to be north of that number. How do you feel about Jones and Melton?
I prefer Melton here. I take your point on both of them, and I wouldn't argue it.
I for the record, I prefer Melton as well.
Yeah, okay. Just a really interesting spot for him. And, you know, this game against the Suns last time out was very competitive up until the end. And Melton played all the way up till there were 2 minutes remaining in the fourth. So what does that tell you? It tells you that, you know, look, he's not a guy that's going to close out every game, but Taylor Jenkins clearly wasn't afraid to keep him out there in this game that was competitive. And then he brought Dylan Brooks in. But I have plenty of interest in DeAnthony Melton. I think you probably get. I'm putting him right now, I think, at 27 minutes.
Oh, I gave him 24, and he's still flying off the page.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I could give him 24 and still have a ton.
I gave him 24, and he is quite clearly my top value at guard on FanDuel, and he is my third highest value overall on DraftKings. So no shortage coming in.
The only thing I would throw out there is I don't know if I'd want Tyus Jones and Melton in the same lineup.
I don't think it matters given their price tags. They're obviously not going to play a lot together. I think like the max you're going to see is maybe 2 to 4 minutes if they're alongside each other at all. And I don't think that that's particularly likely. I gave them 2 minutes alongside of each other. Like I gave Tyus 26. I gave Melton 24. I don't mind.
What? Really?
What do you mean, really?
You only have Melton and Jones playing 2 minutes along each other?
Yeah.
So what do you have? Brooks with all the backup point guard minutes?
I have them both.
Or no, I'm sorry. So you have Melton with all the backup point guard minutes, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. My fault. I heard that wrong. That's my problem though, is like they're both cheap, but
They played 48. They played all 48 minutes in one of the games. They played 52.4 in another, 55, and then just the 48. So they're getting like 2 to 4 minutes potentially alongside of each other.
Yeah, I don't know if I need him in the same lineup on a 9-gamer. Maybe that's different if a lot of value doesn't open up. But I I would like to not do that because I don't know if 24 minutes from each is going to be enough this is against Milwaukee.
So here's the question for you, and I'll pose it to you like this because I have my target scores updated. What you're really looking to get out of both guys combined to think that if it's okay is 35 from Melton and 34 from Tyus Jones. Can they get to 75 combined?
I don't think so, no.
Seems like a little bit of a tough sell. I would want to run crunches, see how much you're getting them together. And at the very least, merge 2 crunches together, one where they can be together and one where they can't. Because I don't think it's outlandish to have 2 sub 4K guys together. But I wouldn't want to do it if I got 35% Tyus Jones and DeAnthony Melton is in 90% of those.
No, that'd be terrible.
If you get 5 to 10 out of 150, I think that's reasonable.
If it pops up on 1 or 2, I don't think that's horrible. No, I agree. But it's definitely like you said, if you merged one with the group with a rule set not to play them together and then one where it was allowed, that's fine. But if you're giving them both like 24 minutes, maybe Jones 26 minutes, that's tough for them both to get to 35 plus, in my opinion.
I like disagree. Melton it's going to be a struggle. You need 75 combined out of the 2 of them.
I also think the blowout concern is real. But
yes,
Jonas Valanciunas at 6,500. I don't care how many down games he has. To me, he's way too cheap.
Yep, he is probably my favorite play of the day on DraftKings. 6,500 is just stupid. I have him in for 28 minutes. That number could certainly go higher. He's at 31% ownership, so I'm not telling anybody anything that we're not already expecting. Still happy to get to him at 8K on FanDuel. It's just a little bit less appetizing.
Yeah, 65 on DraftKings is more than okay with me. Dylan Brooks will probably play like 31 minutes here.
Yeah, happy to get there. Jaren Jackson, 68 and 62. He's been playing 30 minutes a game. I like Jay Crowder at 4,900 on FanDuel. I'm going to get a lot of Memphis.
Okay.
They just, their salaries aren't where they should be for the, certainty in minutes. No Grayson Allen as well, so that's just another guy that's not going to be soaking up any time.
No, there's definitely a lot to go around. Brandon Clark remains out too.
Yep.
Well, not remains out.
Yeah, they
came back and now he'll be out.
Yeah.
So that helps Joe Val, and it probably helps Jaren Jackson if Jackson's getting some backup 5 run.
On the Milwaukee side, if Giannis is in, I want him at 12K on FanDuel and 11.2 on DK. He's probably like my second or third favorite pay up option. I'd probably have him behind Towns and Embiid. But I don't mind getting there if he's able to play. And then Bledsoe, 6,700 on both sites. That'd be another guy that I'd be willing to take a little bit of a look at.
For me, I mean, if Giannis is out, give me all the Bledsoe and Middleton again.
100%.
Ilyasova is, how much is he priced at now? 46. That's a bit rich. What's he out on FanDuel? 38. Yeah. Well, that's easy.
Yep. Yeah, if Giannis is out, Ersan Ilyasova on FanDuel for 3,800 is going to be quite owned.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, highest owned player on the slate.
No. Probably not.
Okay.
I don't know if he'd even be the best value at power forward on FanDuel.
At that price, I don't see any way he wouldn't be. If you give him 26 minutes at $300 above the minimum.
Just wait till we get to Marquise Chris.
Oh, no, you're crazy.
No, he would be one of the highest owned players on the slate for sure.
Yeah, and I would Ilyasova over Chris just all day long for me. I mean, I'd have a lot of both.
I don't disagree there either.
Like the difference is with Marquise Chris, Steve Kerr it could be inclined to do a lot of different things. I know that Draymond Green is out and Eric Pascal's out, but like you still have Spellman, you still have Kevon Looney, you still have this Smalagic fella. I don't know. It sounds like an allergy medicine. He was just recalled from the G League. You still have Willie Cauley-Stein. You still have Glenn Robinson if you needed to play him at the 4 and then move guys up. Like there's a lot of ways that Marquise Chris could end up playing only 22 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. Smilage, by the way.
I like Smalagic. Doesn't that sound like an over-the-counter congestion medicine?
Yeah, it's how I don't have allergies. I don't have anything else to say about Milwaukee.
Me neither.
Alrighty. Hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing pretty good given our rants to start. We got 20 minutes and 4 games to go. That's not too shabby, actually.
You know you skipped over the Lakers in Miami?
I didn't. It's next.
It's a 7 p.m. game.
It's in as 8 o'clock on mine. I think what you're trying to tell me is that I need to update my schedule.
Wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
I mean, not that it matters, but it is a 7 p.m. game. Probably because it's ESPN, and then the 9:30 Clippers Timberwolves game is also ESPN. So
that's at 9:30. I've got that at 8 o'clock too.
Nope, 9:30. Lakers.
Come on, Basketball Reference. Get your crap together.
Lakers Heat at 7.
Doesn't matter. Randone and Manny coming up after this, talking some NFL strategy. We'll have the Awesome Odds betting show coming up at noon, I believe. TBD. Nolan and Alex will be doing the Yahoo strategy show at 1. Jake will have his NHL strategy show at 4. I will be back leading the boss man, Alex Baker, through the deeper dive, rather. I'm going to keep my mouth shut at that one. Just let the boss man do his job. And then live before lock, 6 p.m. Eastern, myself and Spags send you into the weekend. Yeah, for anybody that's wondering about Kai Bowman, he is in the G League right now, but we will get there. I don't use ESPN. I use Basketball Reference because it's easy for me to paste that into my spreadsheet, and I don't really give a shit what time the games start. This is just for organizational purposes.
Not important.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not changing the import because that can change once every 3 weeks. I'll take my copy paste of months at a time of schedule.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
plus, you've made my life easier with it too, so I'm not going to complain.
Since you were complaining, Miami Heat and Los Angeles Lakers, it really was about to be next one way or the other.
I wasn't complaining. I was just trying to point out that.
Yeah, it sounded like a complaint to me.
Oh, well, I thought it was doing my due diligence to help you not look dumb.
Well, you're going to have to do a lot more work to keep me from looking dumb. Heat and Lakers, revenge narrative for LeBron James. Lakers are 5.5-point favorites in Miami. Still no Goran Dragic. Still no Justice Winslow. James Johnson appears to be in the doghouse. Dion Waiters appears to be in a different universe.
Suspended again.
Yeah, he's suspended from... I don't know. I lost it. I got nothing. Jimmy Butler's 9,700 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings. He's at 7% ownership. I like Jimmy Butler at 9,700 on FanDuel, given the position today.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, that's really tough for me. And Dan and I discussed it on the EB and kind of at length because I don't know what to do with him. He's like, if this game's close, and it should actually be a really fun game to watch. First of all, it's a 214 total. That doesn't surprise me. Like you would expect this. 2 teams that don't play at an elevated pace, 2 top 10 defenses. But I think you probably get like 38, 39 minutes in regulation from Butler today, which is huge. And when you look at his rates, you can't beat, well, you can, if you're Doncic, but when you look at his overall rates, you're getting crazy number, 25% usage, 31% assist rate, 11.1% rebounding, 2.9% steal rate, 2.2% block rate. Across the board, you're getting games from Jimmy where he's posting, 20 point, 18 rebound, 10 assists, triple doubles with 3 blocks and 2 steals. That stuff's really valuable when you're contributing across all of the categories, including 3-point shooting.
He's He's doing it all. Big
He's
fan.
doing it all.
Big fan. The price isn't fun, but on FanDuel, you've got Harden at 12.2. Butler is the next closest guy to him at 9,700. I don't mind getting to that level, especially if Giannis ends up being in and it's easier to not go all the way up to Harden. Otherwise, it's Lou Will, which we're going to get to, Bogdanovich. Tyler Hero, questionable. That could be a little interesting for this one. Kendrick Nunn is 5,500 on FanDuel and 6,700 on DraftKings. You can safely skip him on DK, but at 5,500 on FanDuel, he's probably a little chalkier than he should be, but he's going to see big minutes. And if Hero is out, he's definitely going to see big minutes. So I'm cool with getting Butler, cool with getting some Bam. Nunn is fine. That's probably about it for me from Miami.
Yeah, I'm fine collecting my cash from Kendrick Nunn on Tuesday on DraftKings at 5,400 and moving about my way. There's just no way I'm getting to him at that price, especially not against the Lakers. I really just don't have a whole lot of interest in this game. From Jimmy Butler's fine, but he's the furthest thing from a priority. Let's just throw, at least for me, he's not a priority option.
Agreed.
Bam Adebayo has been outstanding. Do you get to him at that price point? Well, once again, the minutes are huge, so you're likely going to get a good enough game from him. I think out in that Boston game was a huge outlier, but you're going to just get consistently strong fantasy production from him. And then on the other side, Anthony Davis at 10-1. I think Anthony Davis is fine here. Yeah. Miami's good in post defense, but that's not a crazy price point on him at all. And he just has a monster ceiling.
I don't need much of AD or LeBron, and they're the only two things I want from the Lakers.
Yeah, LeBron, wow, 10,000. He's actually cheaper than Anthony Davis. Neither of them are bad plays here. They're just, I don't think there's any priorities at all in this entire game.
I agree. Timberwolves and Clippers got some priorities here. Clippers are 5.5 point favorites in Minnesota for the Timberwolves to start. This is going to be a really fast-paced game for both teams. And we've got Towns at 11-1 on FanDuel, 9,900 on DraftKings. Really difficult to not love Towns for 9,900. Don't mind getting to him at 11-1 on FanDuel. If Jeff Teague plays, he is 5K on FanDuel. That is really difficult to ignore. He would be my favorite play of anybody on the Timberwolves. And I think it's fine to get yourself a little bit of Wiggins. What would you like to do with Minnesota?
This is one of the tougher spots for me on this slate because I really don't know what to do with Towns and Wiggins and most of this team. My guess right now, I haven't ran any crunches, but my guess is I probably don't get a lot. And a couple of reasons. Joel Embiid to me against New Orleans, I prefer him over Towns.
I only prefer Embiid because he's owned 1/3 of the amount.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, but that's a huge thing.
Right. Like I have them as equals, but makes it a lot easier to know that Towns is at 30 and Embiid is at 10.
Would you take Towns over Embiid in cash?
No. Whoa. Would I take Towns over Embiid in cash?
Yeah.
Towns should be the play over Embiid in cash.
Correct. Especially with Embiid playing a back-to-back after 36 minutes last night. But
I just assumed you led that sentence with Embiid. So I answered.
No.
Embiid was like the topic.
I was expecting you to say yes on Towns over Embiid in cash for sure. But
have to.
You do. You have to. Towns minutes are just more secure. And in cash, that's exactly what you need. As far as the rest of the team goes, though, I just don't see myself getting to much of them.
I think that's fair. I'm assuming you're on the same page with me that Teague for 5K on FanDuel, if he's playing, is just...
Absolutely, yeah. His minutes are a little bit erratic right now.
Yeah.
But, he might play 28. He might play 36. I think you put him at 30.
That's what I did.
Okay, 55 on FanDuel or on DraftKings even is okay. Pat Beverly's out as well. So, no, I think Teague would probably be your best option here.
Speaking of Pat Bev being out, Lou Will, 7,100 on DraftKings. Not all that great of a price. He's $1,100 cheaper on FanDuel. Lou Will is 6K. not like he gets like a minutes boost or whatever from Beverly being out. Dude's just going to play regardless, but going to handle the ball a lot more. At 6K on FanDuel, he's one of the best plays of the day. He's very clearly the best shooting guard option on FanDuel today. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about the ownership. Lou Will is the man there. Absolute lock cash play for today on FanDuel. Other than that, I don't need a ton of these guys. If Kawhi happens to be out or something today, that'd be great, but very minimal amounts of interest for me for Kawhi or Paul George or Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, I have pretty much no interest in Lou Williams on DraftKings.
No.
I just don't. FanDuel, I'm with you. Harrell, George, Kawhi, they're okay. But honestly, I think my favorite plays from this game, you mentioned Lou Will on FanDuel. I hear you there. But Jeff Teague, if you have him at 30 minutes, and Karl Anthony Towns. Outside of that, everyone else is kind of just okay.
Totally agree. 2 to go. Sacramento Kings, New York Knicks. Kings 8.5-point favorites in Sacramento. I don't think that we have any real legitimate news to worry about from the Kings side, and I don't think that we really have many legitimate plays outside of $4,500 Bogdan Bogdanovic on FanDuel. Looks pretty tasty. Also getting some ownership. He's $4,700 on DraftKings. No real issue there. No issue getting to Rashawn Holmes at $5,600 on DK or Buddy Hield at 71. But to me, it's just Bogdanovic on FanDuel is the only thing that stands out to me. Now that we have Marvin Bagley back, things are just going to get a little complicated.
Dude, Bogdanovic cannot be right. It can't be healthy.
No, he's not healthy.
It can't be healthy, man. He looks nothing like he did when Fox first went out. I don't know what's wrong with him. So did you notice that Bagley, all of his minutes came as the backup center last game?
No, I did not.
All of them.
No, I didn't.
That's weird. And the only reason that he got 23 minutes was because Rashawn Holmes got in early foul trouble. I'm assuming Bagley begins to get more minutes at the 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bjelica got like all the 4 run, and Bagley played backup center for the entire game.
At least he's only playing center. He shouldn't play the 4. It's just kind of tricky now that Rashawn Holmes has turned himself into someone that's good.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if Holmes is going to come out and play 30 minutes, like I said, he was in some foul trouble. I wouldn't put him at 30, but I think like 28 maybe. Mm-hmm. Then Bagley needs to get minutes at the 4 to be somewhat decent. That's just going forward. Don't have any interest in him here, but something to keep an eye on. So yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I wish I liked more guys from the Kings against the New York Knicks, but there's just it's a mess.
I may be wearing Knicks gear right now, but I also don't care to roster any Knicks. $5,400 Marcus Morris is what stands out most to me. One thing to note, if you've got an elaborate named spreadsheet that pulls from different sources, for some strange reason, Marcus Morris is now Marcus Morris Sr. on DraftKings and Fantasy Draft. Update your links accordingly.
When did that start?
Last night.
Wait, really?
He is now listed in CSV exports as Marcus Morris Sr.
No, I'm saying, I swear you would know, but I thought he was already. I guess not.
If he was, then I probably got 0 Marcus Morris on DraftKings all year.
Season.
Yeah.
Right. No,
that's salary wouldn't populate on the YouTube sheet.
Of course. No, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah. So he's now Marcus Morris Sr.
He must have requested it.
And obviously, surprisingly, Fantasy Draft did it just at the same time as DK. Who could have seen that coming?
How strange.
Yeah.
Dude, Marcus Morris, I had a ton of him against Portland. 13 fantasy points. Golden State, not much at all.
50.
63.
I forgot it was 60.
You've got to be shitting me, man. Same with RJ Barrett. He went from 10 fantasy points to 45. It's unreal. It's just like, it's the basketball gods laughing in your face. And Julius Randle goes from 29 to 49. It's unbelievable, man. Truly unbelievable.
I don't want anything from the Knicks. I can't predict this team. Outside
No,
of Morris on FanDuel at 5,400 is just too cheap. His minutes seem to be fine.
I'm so glad that Morris had this big game because now he's 6,600 and Barrett's above 6K. It makes my life so much easier.
I don't want to talk about the Knicks anymore.
Me neither. It just means we don't have to play them. I hope they have one more huge game and go up to 8K so I never have to see them again.
Perfect. Late night hammer, Utah Jazz, Golden State Warriors. Jazz 13-point favorites at home against the Warriors. Still no Mike Conley. A little bit of ownership coming into Mitchell, Gobert, and Bojan. I'm a little bit less enamored by these guys. I think that they are... I definitely am not going to have much Rudy Gobert. I'll probably rotate through a little bit of Mitchell and Bojan. Maybe a little bit of Joe Ingles, but I am just not interested in grabbing a lot of Utah here. Warriors are just bad. No Draymond Green, no Eric Paschall, Kai Bowman down.
I kind of like Jingles though.
Okay, talk to me.
Just a lot of minutes. And with Conley out, he actually sees some opportunities as a ball handler. He's not a bad passer. We've seen him take over that backup point role. I'm not saying he's going to be the backup point guard. I'm saying though that when he's on the court, he's a lot more involved with Conley sideline. So I do like Joe Ingles. I don't know if people are going to be playing Moutier. I've seen in some spots he's actually projected for 22 or more minutes. That to me seems crazy. Mitchell got in early foul trouble and he played 22. So if you're giving him anything, I think you probably want to put him around 18 and not 22.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I have him in for 20. These guys are fine to rotate through. I'm just really not excited to roster anybody from the Utah Jazz side.
No, I think Mitchell's still fine. But
yeah. So these guys are already getting the ownership that I think they deserve. So I don't see I'm not saying anything that's particularly appealing. On the Golden State side,
I actually like D'Angelo Russell quite a bit in tournaments.
I have no problem there. 8,300 FanDuel, 7,700 DK, minimal ownership. Marquise Chris, flat minimum on FanDuel, 3,800 on DK. I'm going to have quite a bit of Marquise Chris on FanDuel just because they don't have that many guys that can play the 4 and the 5. You could talk me into a little bit of Amari Spellman, same sort of scenario. Spellman 3,100 on DK is more appealing. Look, these guys are going to have to play 240 minutes total. I'm going to have more shares of the Warriors than I'm comfortable with.
I probably will too. Russell at $7,700 on DraftKings. I don't care if it's a difficult matchup. He's just going to get a ton of shots up. We saw it against them earlier this year. I think he dropped 50 some fantasy points. At 33 and 8, 25 field goal attempts. He's going to chuck it. He's been back the 2 games that he's been back and played 30 plus minutes. He has 22 and 27 field goal attempts. Just expect the usage to be through the roof here. Primary facilitator, go-to scorer. If this game does stay close and you get 36 minutes from Mitchell at 7,700, you're probably going to be very satisfied with the results.
I gave him 34. I'm happy to get him. He's at 4% ownership on FanDuel. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, that's low, man.
Now, don't get me wrong. The Utah Jazz defense is fantastic, and he's the only guy they need to care about. So might not be great for him, but dude's going to heave one way or the other.
Exactly. The volume will be there. And I'll close it with, Pascal's not going to play, or at least he's not expected to play, and Draymond Green is out. But I would just say with Marcus Chris, I don't know how many minutes you're projecting him for. What are you projecting him for?
24.
Okay. That is very appropriate in my opinion. That's what I'm putting him at.
I gave him 24, Willie Cauley-Stein 24, and Spellman 24.
Okay. Any more than that, you're playing with fire.
And you're going to get burned by the Warriors.
You're going to get burnt.
Yep. And on that note, we are done. 9 up, 9 down. Plenty of rants to go around. It's another excellent Friday.
2 minutes to spare, baby.
Manny Lore and Chris Randone coming up next to talk some NFL. Laffy, you are done for the day. Enjoy yourself, brother. Enjoy your
Thanks, man.
festivities for tonight.
Justine's birthday. We got some stuff going on, and the neighbors got a nice party going. Not for her, but we're going to turn it into that and
Smart.
hopefully get drunk.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. For Laffy, I'm Josh. Thank you, Yahoo Sports, for being the presenting sponsor. We are out of here. Best of luck tonight. And get ready, guys, because you're going to see a shit ton more of me later today. Bye.